Let's be real. People don't change unless they want to. You can beg, argue, or even walk away. But if they don't see a reason to change, nothing you do will force it. I know that because I've been on both sides. I was a person who refused to change, and I was a person who was waiting for someone else to change. And let me tell you, neither one feels good. But the worst part, sometimes we think that once we finally change, everything will fall into place. But that's not actually how it works. Sometimes the hardest part about change isn't becoming better, it's letting go of everything that kept us from growing in the first place. Yo, what's good with it, podcast? If you here, you're real. If you're not here, what else are you doing, bro? What Drake say? What the fuck the function? This is the function. This is where you got to be at. This is where you need to be. You feel me? But nah, for real. Today, I just want to get into why people don't change. Well, no, not even the why. I just want to talk about people don't change unless they want to change. And I feel like I'm more qualified than anyone to talk about this as someone who has cheated in the past. Yes, cheated in the past. Boo me, do what you got to do. I got a whole episode on it. I'm not proud of it, but it's something I grew from, and it's something I think I took a lot of wisdom from. So we're just going to talk about people only change when they want to change and why you should just let go. Man, unfortunately, people don't change just because they should. They change when they have to. I think as people, we always justify our actions when we're not ready to change with stuff like, oh, I'll stop when, or it's not that big of a deal, or I'll change when this happens. I'll start when this happens. And why? Why are you waiting for something to change, especially if you know it's something that is hurting you? So like I said, at the start of my last relationship, or not even the start, just in the relationship in general, I cheated, and I justified it to myself by saying that, oh, it's not happening to me, and I'm not the one that's going to have to face the hurt from it. So it's okay. And then I had the nerve to say, she's not going to find out anyway, so it's no big deal. Yeah. So I didn't stop. But I say all that to say, you can't force someone to see a problem that they don't want to see. No matter how much you talk, beg, or hope, a person won't change until they make the decision for themselves. Waiting for someone to change will break you. And I know that's a strong word, but holding on to someone and hoping they'll change is just another way of hurting yourself. I think a lot of the times we tell ourselves it's like, oh, I can fix them, I can change them, or they just need a little bit more time. And the sad reality to that is, nah, fam, they don't need more time. They know where they're at and where they want to be. They are making the active decision to stay there and to stay in that place. And you can try to change someone all you want to, but if they don't want to change, you'll just be wasting your time. I remember when I was cheating and I'm hella disappointed in myself. Like every time I say that shit, I'm just like, wow. Like, and I'm saying that shit, it almost sounds like I'm coming off as a flex, but I'm not. It's literally, I just learned so much from it. So I hold so much wisdom from it. And I'm finna spew that right now. During that time, my roommate was like, fam, like you have to knock that shit off. Like you really have to. And I heard him. Like I knew deep down that it wasn't something that was good, but in my own head, I justified it. And that was because I didn't want to change. I think, honestly, I kind of enjoyed a part of it. Do I know which part of it I enjoyed? No. I just know that, honestly, I think I enjoyed a part of it. And that's why I didn't really want to change. And it's not that I just enjoyed a part of it. I was holding on to a part of myself who I no longer was. And when I think about the fact that there was a whole nother person that I wasn't always thinking of in the situation, I get so upset with myself because I think about it now. I think about all the times where I've tried to change someone or where I waited for someone to change. And the thing is, you can't convince someone to be different if they don't want to be. And honestly, the longer you wait, the more it drains you. People are like battery suckers, fam. that sounds bad, but some people are literally battery suckers. And I know, as someone who has been that battery sucker and has had their battery sucked, pause, because this is a whole lot of sucking going on, man. Holy wow. Like, whoa. Tech, time out, man. But no, the more you wait for someone who's not ready, the more you lose yourself. And I think a lot of times people fail to realize this, especially as young people. We feel like we have to have this one thing or this one person, and we focus on it so much to the point where we say, I can fix it, I can change them. And the thing is, they're not a project, and it almost sounds like I'm defending that other person that is a shit person, and I'm not trying to, but I'm just saying, for the people that think you can change someone or try to quote unquote fix someone, I've had this. I had someone tell me, yeah, I can fix you. And I'm just like, first of all, bro, we don't use that term over here because that implies that you're broken. And number one, you're not. Number two, like I said, people aren't your project that you can piece together and make into something that you want them to be. People are their own person. They build themselves up. They choose when they want to be self-aware. They choose when they want to change for someone. And that's why when someone isn't changing for you, you just have to walk away from them. They know what it is they're doing. And sometimes they even know that it's hurting you. But if they're not placed in a situation where they have to be harsh and stern on themselves and say, okay, yeah, I need to change, then they won't. And sometimes even after we change, we still try to hold on to people who haven't. Sometimes even after we change, we still try to hold on to people who haven't changed. But you can't make up for lost time. Change doesn't mean you can go back. It means you have to move forward. So back to the story with my ex. When we were breaking up for the first time, I had broken the news to her that I had cheated. And obviously I saw the fallout, and that shit was terrible. Like, it was real bad. And during that time, I realized that I wanted to go to therapy to kind of fix my shit. But the thing was, I wasn't changing for myself. But I had went to therapy, and she expressed her interest in getting back together. So I was like, okay, like, let me think about this. And to be honest with you, I wasn't sure. And looking back on it, because hindsight is always 2020. You know what I'm saying? Hindsight is always 2020, but you can't see in the fucking moment. You just can't see in the moment. You gotta do some dumb shit in order to get the wisdom. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. But I figured out that I wasn't holding on to my ex because I was still in love with her. I very much still loved her, but I wasn't still in love with her. I was holding on because I felt bad, and I felt like I had this obligation to kind of stay with her. And another thing was, I was holding back because I was scared of what life would look like without her. The hardest part about changing wasn't changing myself. It was letting go of everything that kept me from growing. If you're the one waiting for someone else to change, you have to realize that you deserve better than someone's potential. And you have to realize that people don't change because you want them to. They change because they want to. There was a time where I was so interested in this girl, bro. I mean, she was some what we call now some fine shit, some body. You know what I'm saying? She would. I ain't even gonna get into it. We did not care. But we talked for a little while, and couldn't find out. You know what I'm saying? She was interested in me. She was interested in a young, authentic YN such as myself. So I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. And once we start, talking a little bit more and figuring out a little bit more, I end up figuring out some things that I don't necessarily like. You know what I'm saying? And they're not things. It was nothing crazy. It was nothing insane that was just outside of this world, and I should just cut it off. It was just little small things. Like, one of the things was, she still spoke to her ex daily, which is crazy. Actually, that might be a huge thing. I might low-key be tweaking. And on top of that, she would, you know what I'm saying? She would let her best friend bust her down. Now, I should have known. I should have known at this point. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but My dumb ass decides to just sit there and stay. So I'm telling her, I'm like, hey, like, it's one thing to just have a best friend you fucking on. That's one thing, especially like we're not dating. I can't really control that. But if we're going to be talking or whatever it may be, can you shut down your ex? Like, can you not talk to him no more? Can you not talk to this dude anymore? And she came up with all these excuses of all these reasons. And I was like, And I give her time. I said, okay, well, you know what? Maybe she just needs a little bit more time to let go of him. And I kept making these excuses for them or for her and not realizing that I was hurting myself in the process. I was holding on and I was waiting. And while I was waiting, she just had her claws all up in me, just digging and digging all the way in.
You digging
and that sounds crazy, but that's what it is. And I want to ask y'all a question. What do y'all do when you have a hot pot in your hand? If that pot is hot to the touch, if it's scalding and it's hurting you, you don't sit there and hold it and magically wait for it to just cool off and be better. No, bitch. Fuck, it's hot and you throw that bitch down. That's what you have to do with people. You have to realize that it's okay to let people go. It's, you know what I'm saying? You can't sit here and wait for something to change. That pot is not going to change instantly just because you wish it would change. You have to sit that pot down and walk away. Walk away. Do something different. Be somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Don't just sit in that thing and wait for that thing. And I wish someone had told me this while I was younger. That's why I'm so passionate about it now. Because there were so many times where I've waited for someone and I put my neck on the line. There's so many times where people have put their neck on the line for me and I've hurt them. And I wish that they would have just put me down. You know, and that's something that I should have realized myself. But at the time, I didn't. But I'm trying to give that knowledge to y'all that when something is hot, you have to put it down. You don't sit there and say, oh, it's fine. I can fix it. I can make it cold. No, you can't, fam. That shit's hot. It's sizzling. Put it down. Let it go. The only way that pot's going to cool down is if you set it down and you walk away from it and you leave it to do whatever it has to do. That's what you have to realize. It doesn't matter what the potential of the pot is. It doesn't matter what was in that pot. It don't matter that you was cooking up some chicken carbonara, some chicken tikka masala. You feel me? It don't matter what you was cooking up. It don't matter. That potential doesn't matter. If the pan is hot, if the pot is hot, put it down. That was hard. That was hard. That was sauce. Secondly, if you're the one who's changed, but you can't let go, you have to stop trying to hold on to people because you're familiar. Growth means moving forward, not trying to fix what's already been broken. I started that relationship as a person that didn't want to change, or at least didn't see a lot of value in changing. And I ended it as a person who had changed but was too scared to let go. And it took me losing her twice to finally realize that real change wasn't just about becoming better. It's about choosing to be better. And like I was saying earlier, when I changed for that first time, when I knew that there was something wrong, I didn't change for myself. I changed for her. So after I had gone to therapy and I had went through, you know, all that, you know, reformation or whatever the fuck the word would be for that shit. I ain't no fucking scientist, man. I'm just a nigga. I started to realize that I kind of felt trapped in the relationship. There were aspects that I tried to even change about her, things that I didn't necessarily like, that I tried to change and wanted to change bad. And I realized that those things weren't going to change until she actually wanted to change them, until she saw value in changing them. And I'm not trying to say this in a disrespectful way. Like, nigga, you still cheated. Like, yeah, I know, but my feelings are still valid too, bud. Like, fuck y'all. But like I said earlier, I had changed for her and not for myself. So when we were finally back together and I had thought everything was supposed to be perfect again. Like I was like, okay, cool. Like we're back and we're fine. But the thing was, I felt almost as if I was missing something. And that thing was the growth of just letting her go in general. I think deep down, I low-key knew that it wasn't serving me. But like I said, change is hard. And I think the hardest change is letting someone go. And that includes letting someone go if you're hurting them. And that's why I was doing it. I was letting them go because not only was I hurting them, they were hurting me, but it was because by staying in that relationship, I was holding on to this little glimpse, this little glimmer of my past self. And I was putting the past of our relationship on this pedestal. And I was holding on to that rather than realizing that this thing is no longer good for me. This thing is no longer serving me. It's burning me. You feel me? Like I said earlier, it's fucking burning me. It's hot. It's hot. You got to put it down. If something is hot to the touch, that's the first lesson. I feel like that's the first lesson we all learn as kids, bro. If the stove is hot, take your fucking hand off of it. And you're not going to do it again, are you? You're not coming back for a second try. So why do we do that with people? And I know it's a lot more complex. Like, yeah, people have feelings. People are complex. People go through a whole lot of things. But I mean the same concept as when someone burns you, why do you hold on? Why do you continue to hold on while it's still burning you? Why don't you let go of that thing while it's burning you? You know? So like I was saying, people only change when they want to. And that goes for you too. If you're holding on to someone who refuses to change, ask yourself this. Are you staying because you should, or because you're scared of what happens if you leave? Because here's the truth. The longer you hold on to someone who isn't ready, the longer you keep yourself from peace and happiness that you actually deserve. And the moment you finally let go, that's when real change happens. So I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. Y'all tap in, man. I'm really trying out here. It's hard for a play, you feel me? But y'all let me know if y'all enjoy that, and y'all give me more ideas either in the comments, because I know Spotify got comments. I know for a fact YouTube got comments. TikTok definitely got comments. Instagram got comments. But yeah, you can find me on all of them at Missing Something, and I think my missing... Yeah, I'm over here lagging. I think my TikTok is Missing Something 000, and then my Instagram is Missing Something Pod, and then for YouTube it's just going to be Missing Something. Spotify also Missing Something. But like I said, I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode, and if you have any more episode ideas or something that you want to hear me talk about, drop it in the comments. But like I said, y'all have a good one, and I hope y'all enjoyed the episode.